Booktube. Today I will be doing a review of Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book in the Grisha Trilogy. I really quite liked this book. So first off, the characters within the book. The main character is Alina. She is an orphan. In the initial starting of this book, she is working within the army as a map maker or a cartographer, and we are introduced to a world that has a place called the Fold. Now the Fold is this completely dark area of their country that is populated by these nightmarish flying creatures that will tear you apart if they can get a chance to get at you. To cross this section of their country is imperative because it's their connection with the rest of the world. To do this, there are people called the Grisha. Now the Grisha have special powers. They can call fire, for instance, to them. The fabricators are people who can make things. The heart renders are people who can stop or explode other people's hearts. Conversely, there are the healers who heal people with their Grisha powers. The squallers are people who can make the wind go where they want it. The tide makers make water move. And finally, there is the Darkling. The Darkling is the head of the Grishas, and he rules over them as a general would rule over an army. And the Grisha are called the Second Army. The First Army is your regular soldiers, is what we find Alina in. Now she grew up as an orphan in an orphanage run by a duke, and her best friend, and seems like her only friend within this, was Mal. Now Mal is a soldier in the army but is known for his tracking abilities. They are crossing the Fold and something happens. That's all I'm going to say. The world building in this is average, to say the least. The reason why I say that is this book is constantly telling us where the different the different countries are within this world, and where the coasts are, and where the Fold is. But in my editions that I borrowed from my library, there's no map. She's a map maker, and there's no maps in the front of these books. I use the maps in fronts of books so I can orientate myself within their travels. I so would have loved a map. That would have made it so much more for me. I know it seems like a bit of a silly thing, but I do love a map in the front of a fantasy book. It's an underrated thing. The magic system in this first book is really it's light on the details of the magic system. I would have appreciated more, especially considering it's called the Small Science. The main character, Alina, travels through this book and is quite obviously a bit of a coming of age for her. She is she knows she's in love with Mal, but has decided that Mal will never be in love with her because he's a bit of a man whore. He's constantly with other women. She just feels like the fifth wheel at all times with him, and that he is only really sticking around her because of their childhood together. But she's in love with him. And then she meets some other people that she goes, oh, maybe. So definitely a coming of age story within this book. And also a lot of getting to know and getting to grips with the power that she has within this world. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't a 5-star by any means. I think a map would have helped me, just to continue harping on about that. And a little bit more of the exploration of the magic system within it. So 4 out of 5 stars for Shadow and Bone, #1 in the Grisha Trilogy.